Hey guys, it's Ricky with Techbud Solutions. Um, Today we're kind of just going to do a little recap on our week of trading. For those that aren't in our group, Techbud Solutions, we're mainly a networking group, but we kind of focus a lot on trading penny stocks. Right now we're right around 130, I believe, members. It started about 5 months ago. And yeah, I mean, it's been doing pretty well. It's a free group. We help one another trade, and we kind of just teach each other the basics of trading penny stocks. So we're just going to do a little recap on some pros and cons of, you know, throughout the week of what we did. And we're going to talk about a couple stocks, to look out for. And this time I don't have anything set up, just so you guys can kind of see how I do my analysis in the sense of I already know these stocks pretty well in a sense of where they tend to trade. So I kind of just go down the list. If they're in, my area of potential buy-ins, then, I click on it, I do the little technical analysis, and I think it'd be pretty at least educational for those that don't know how to do technical analysis, to kind of just see what I do, what I look for, and why I see potential in these certain stocks. So again, if you guys haven't joined, the link is down below. You guys can join for free, essentially, on Facebook. And then if you want to trade actively with us, I add you to the GroupMe, where it's about, I believe, 70 traders is where we're at right now. And yeah, I mean, it's been pretty fun. We're doing pretty well, at least for most of us that trade actively. And I leave in 2 days. We leave to Hawaii. We're going to Maui. We're going to trade there for a couple of days. And then in a month or two, we're going to be heading out to Athens, Greece. So that's essentially the plan as of now. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Let me get my Fidelity account ready to share in a sense. All right. Go ahead and share my screen. Alrighty. So this is pretty much my watch list. These are just some stocks that I look out for. The reason I like Fidelity so much is because of the technical analysis that you can do. So kind of just the graphs that they have set up. Actively, I trade mainly with Robinhood, which is a non-commissionable app where you don't have to pay commissions when you buy or sell, which really helps out, for new traders. So if you want to learn a little bit more about that, feel free to reach out to me. But Fidelity has, a very great layout on, just your watch list overall, the percentages. It's all just, I believe, very nicely set up, at least for mine. When I'm trading actively, I like to use TD Ameritrade. I like their live platform. And then to execute my trades, I tend to use Robinhood or Fidelity are my main brokers that I use. So pretty much, going down the list, this is in a sense of something that, had a pretty big spike. So let's just go ahead and click on it. First thing you do is, I mean, if you create a Fidelity account, what I look for is, I know you have to have a certain account. I have a traditional IRA account. I'm going to go here to advanced chart, and not everyone has access to these. It depends on what account you have and how much funds you have in that account. But pretty much this is a 1-year term. Right now it's trading pretty low based on that 1 year. Overall, I don't like this type of chart type. I like the candlestick, so I apply that. And based on this, I see that it's hitting somewhat of a safety net. So that means a point where, it hits or touches and then it picks back up. So it touched it, here right around, I guess, January to February, picked back up, and now it started dropping, going back, and it's touching right around that point. So we're going to do a little bit more of a closer view on the stock. We're going to change the frequency. And again, I mean, this is my first time really looking at STX S and kind of doing an analysis on it. So it had a pretty big, decline within the past couple of days, but then I guess when the market opened within, yeah, so it was trading right around, what is this? So if you guys want to look right here, this is where it says the highs and the lows. Close means what it closed at that market day and what it opened at. So pretty much, so these are the trading days. So it goes from the 4th to the 5th. This is just a 2-day analysis. And each candlestick pretty much represents 5 minutes of just the market while it was open. So, right when the market opened, it opened at let's see, it closed at 74 cents. So it was a little bit lower. It looks like it might have hit lows of, 60, and then from 60 it hit highs of, yeah. So pretty much what you would be looking for, at least with Techbud, what we try to look for, is for a 10% potential. So if it's right around the 73-cent range, right now it's kind of in a high. But the good thing about this is that we can kind of set essentially 64 to 65 cents. Let's just go with a prettier number. We can set for STXS a safety net, which means I'm going to set an alert at 65 cents. So if STXS falls and touches 65 cents, I will have Fidelity to notify me, and then I will kind of do my analysis very quickly. I will already have this saved, and I know that there is a resistance level right around this area, as it kind of tends to fluctuate in between, this area. So right now it looked like it was struggling to go above 73 cents. So Monday when the market opens, I would most likely either, if I see it past the 73 cents, then that means it's going to hit the new resistance level, which based on this, you can kind of almost see it, kind of draws it out for you. This straight line, let me lift the line up a little bit. You see these stocks that can't go above, this 80-cent mark, that means that there's a resistance level. So it drops, and it won't go below it and it won't go above it, and then it just has this huge drop. So right now there's a safety net at 65. So if it drops to 65 again, we could see an upward potential. So our goal being 10%, that's 6.5 cents that we have to hit. So I'm going to set my alert for STXS, let the team know, once it hits that 65 cents, letting them know that there is a 10% potential, but to make sure that they only buy in, when we see that momentum picking back up. And if we see when it opens that it goes above 73 cents and it continues to rise, then we know that there's going to be a resistance level right around that 79-cent mark. And based on us buying at 73 and wanting to sell at 79, there is a very close, it would be like a 9.8% potential, which, it's almost at 10%. So you kind of just have to make the decision. Do you want to buy and sell at that point? I think that'd be too close. I'd like to see it pick back down and then kind of ride it back up. But it does have a lot of upward momentum based on its history. It doesn't play or doesn't trade too often below the 65-cent mark. So you can consider that a decent buy-in or a really good buy-in, essentially, based on it could possibly be spiking up. Just make sure you do your little analysis on making sure that there's nothing going on with the company. Maybe they released like its second quarter release, and it probably the profits weren't doing too well. So make sure you do your little technical analysis and kind of go from there. But if you guys have any questions about STXS, feel free to reach out to me, and I'd happily be able to give you my opinion on it. But again, make sure you do your own analysis and kind of go based on that. So again, I'm going to go back and I'm going to go back to my watch list. It's still set up. GRSO, I don't like that one too much based on, I'll click on it real quick. It doesn't have a lot of volume based on what I remember. So this is still, or actually let's go to a 1 month increment. You see this is a 1 month analysis and it tends to fluctuate very, there's not a lot of volume. So for that, I'm out. I don't want to trade and, not be able to buy or sell because not enough people are trading. So even though it has these big spikes, these are true penny stocks, and I'd kind of say stay away from it. Dust is getting in that area of, but I had that 10% potential, and it was actually going down to, I believe last time I saw it, let's do that. It went down to it went sub $5, if I remember correctly. So it was actually trading. So right now it's at one of the lowest points overall, just based on this 1 year analysis. I'm going to go to a 10-day period, change the frequency chart to 15 minutes, and then change this to candlesticks. And I kind of just learned, this whole setup just based on messing with Fidelity. So if you figure something out that you think can be helpful and you're in our group, kind of don't, feel free to share. We'd love to learn. But yeah, Dust was having a constant, just decline overall, just within the past 10 days. I believe the past month, it's just on a constant decline. So it was steady, spiked up, and then started to decline. So with that, we kind of set a safety net right around this range. So what that means is as the stock tends to pick back down, it hits this point and then it starts picking back up. It spikes back down, but it struggles to go below essentially the 170, like 170, I say 470 range is where it struggles to go below, and then it picks back up from there. So obviously right now, based on this, we could kind of see a little area of resistance right here. Obviously, it's trading right now above that. So Monday's it's gonna determine if it's gonna go back into this range or if it's gonna continue riding back up. So be careful. I mean, because if you buy in here and then it just takes this big drop, then you'll be trading around this area again. So I say set your alert once dust goes below $5. I'd say $5 is where I have my alert set. So with that being said, make sure that you can buy as low as you can. But if you try to set your limit order to buy at 473, you might not get filled because there's not too many shares that are being sold at that price. So don't be too picky, but make sure that you get a good buy-in. So I say anything below. So I'll go ahead and draw, say, horizontal line right around the $5 mark is where I'm going to set my alert, and I'm going to color this golden. So this is pretty much my alert. So once it goes below $5, that's when I'm going to alert the team and let them know that, dust is in our area of, possible profit. So if we buy in around that 175 to, I apologize, the 475 to 480 range, then we essentially have to make around, 47 to 48 cent profit. And based on us buying that low, we definitely do have that possibility based on it having a little resistance level right around this area right here. So 43 cents seems to be a solid resistance level for dust. Just so you can get a better view, pretty much the stock picks back down, touches along this line, tends to pick back up, struggles to go below it, picks back up, begins to trade in this area, and then picks back down. So this is, area 1, area 2, and area 3. Right now it's trading in area 3, and I'd feel more comfortable buying in, within that 75 to 480 cent range. And that's pretty much just my little analysis. So I'd say set your alerts when it goes sub $5. And then, yeah, let's just go from there. I'm going to go down the list. VIDE is also one that I believe has very low volume, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so this is a 1 month, and there's not a lot of movement. So VIDE again is not in my area of, or not my UBQ. This is not one that I like to trade very often. The volume isn't always there. So again, this is a 1 month analysis. It doesn't move enough for me. So again, I don't feel comfortable trading. It's below $1. It's not volatile enough that it could, just potentially drop all of a sudden, and you would have to keep a really close eye on that. And so I wouldn't feel comfortable trading that. OP, ORPN. So we're just gonna take a look, see real quick how's the volume. Okay, this one looks a little bit more like a stock that we could trade. Let's do a 10-day. Okay, let's click on the advanced chart and do our little analysis. All right, we're gonna do a 10-day chart. Frequency, 15 minutes. And I'm gonna change the settings. So this is pretty much what I do. It's very boring. I mean, it's the same thing over and over again. You kind of just analyze the company and where it's at with its price, and kind of go from there. So based on a 1 month analysis, right now it's trading pretty high. So just on a 1 month, you don't always just want to stick to 10 days, because 10 days, it looks pretty low because it could hit this range. But if you have a better understanding of where it was about a month ago, you see that it has a lot of downward potential as well. So with that being said, is that there's somewhat of a resistance level right here and a safety net right around here. I hope that you guys could see that. And then there's another safety net right down here. So what that means is this stock, ORPN, likes to trade around this area. So let's call this area 2, area 3, and area 1. So it likes to trade around area 2, right now what spiked up to area 3, spiked back down to area 1, and then started trading around that same area. So right now for area 2, I'd say it's too high in area 2, and it doesn't seem to go above area 2 too often. So again, with that being said, is I'd kind of set my alert when ORPN goes below the 160 range, as that tends to be, a critical point, or the 158, as it can continue to drop, and this could be a good buy-in. So let me just talk to you about a little bit more about the safety nets and resistance levels. It struggles to go back down, it struggles to go below the 158-cent range, goes back up, struggles to go above the 170-cent range, and you see it does that constantly. It goes down, goes up, goes down, and then it just has a huge spike. Obviously, when it has that huge spike, it passes that resistance level. But because it passes this resistance level, this old resistance level now becomes a safety net. As you see now, it starts bouncing between the $170 to $190 range, and then it goes the sub 70, and then it begins to trade around this area again, and then goes below that, trades around this area, and now it begins to trade again this area. So that's pretty much what I look for, just where the lows and where the highs are within the ranges. And with that being said, ORPN is too high in range 2. I'd say either buy low in range 2 if you see it picking up, and look for that 10% potential. If you see a 10% potential, so from 160 to 170, that isn't your 10%. I'd say if you could buy within the 155 to 150 range, that would be a little bit more realistic to be able to secure your gains. And also understand that you should be setting stop losses, which mean if you are buying in and waiting for that momentum to pick up, that you also have a stop loss that just in case it does take a big dip, that you can secure your gains. So that is my analysis on ORPN. Also, make sure you look into the company overall. There's been a lot of quarter releases that have really affected these different companies in different ways, so it's not always good. TRKK is one that I trade quite often. I'm not going to go too much into this, as this is like a true penny stock, and it's highly volatile, and I don't feel this is one that I should talk about too often. But when I trade TRKK, I try to buy, at least at this current stage, the volume isn't really there, so it doesn't trade too often. But I say if you want to trade TRKK, I say a high point for TRKK is around the 555 range, so 5.5 cents, and a good buy-in would be essentially around 4.5 cents. But make sure that you see some upward potential, which is kind of hard to see when it's very low volume. But I mean, this is kind of just a riskier stock that you'd have to go into based on the volume not really being there, and being a very cheap stock. But let's say you trade, you buy in with, I don't know, people trade with all different accounts. Let's say $1,000, and you buy in at that 4.5 cent range. Essentially, that puts you around the 20,000 shares for TRKK. And if you just get that 1 cent gain, you'd be making around $222 when it comes to trading TRKK or $200 when it comes to trading with 20,000 shares of TRKK. So it does have that 10% potential. But again, this is a highly volatile company, so just make sure you keep your eye on it dropping, as it can rise and fall pretty quickly. STRL is one that we've been keeping our eyes on, and I'm not going to go too much into every single company, just because that could be very boring. But I pretty much just wanted to give you guys a better understanding of what it is that I kind of look for when it comes to trading. Right away, I can tell you for STRL is one that we have traded before. It's on a big spike, and it's hitting, I can actually draw that in pretty quickly. Well, it's hitting a resistance level right around that 290 range. As you can see, that the stock stayed above the 290 range, and now it's possibly going to go above it, or drop back down to that 250 range or 255 range. So make sure you keep your alert on this one. I say once it goes below the pretty much 275 range, that you're going to see a constant decline, as you kind of saw here. When it hit the 275, that was a critical point, spiked all the way down, kind of caught right around that 150, 155 range, and then started to pick back up. So just make sure you see that 20%, that 10% potential before you trade, and that upward momentum. And then one that I kind of just really wanted to touch base on, INVT, has been one that doesn't tend to trade too often. below the 140 range. So what that means is, yes, we have been, locking in our gains quite often with INVT. The only thing that's scaring me about INVT is that it's holding to, it's been, below the 140 cent range, which it never really does for the past 2 weeks. So what I'm thinking is there's either going to be a quarter release that's really going to determine where the stock is going to go, if it's either going to rise or either going to decline. But I'd say keep your eyes on this one. Overall, as you can see, it doesn't trade below the 140 range too often. And what I'd say is try not to hold this one overnight. I know it does have, some good days, obviously, these big spikes, but it could also have, a huge just drop. And that's what I'm kind of thinking for INVT, just because of just how much it's been holding, for the past, I guess, 10 days. It's been holding under 130, which it never really does, which is kind of scary because 130 was usually a great buy-in. But now, I mean, it's hitting the 133 range like almost daily for the past week. So I said just keep your eyes on this one. Try not to hold overnight, and just know that the 130 to 135 range still seems to be good buy-in. And with that 15% potential, you can essentially sell within the 143 to 148 range and still lock in your 10%. So that's my little analysis on INVT. But yeah, I mean, that's really just it. If you guys have any stocks that you guys would like me to kind of analyze, please feel free to reach out to me. I do want to let you know that Eagle kind of split their shares. So instead of, giving a bunch, like let's say they gave you like 100 shares. I mean, let's say they had 100 shares for sale and now you only had 10. That's why the price is so high. And companies tend to do that just so they're not considered a penny stock, but essentially, it was trading around the $8 range and now went back down. So just know that kind of keep your eye out on Eagle. Try not to hold too much on Eagle overall, just as it is truly still a penny stock. So don't get pretty much caught up on this is not trading in pennies anymore. It used to be a penny stock, so make sure you do that 1 month, 1 year analysis to know where the company was overall. So Eagles, I think, one to look out for. Other than that, INVT is one that we trade quite often. ASTC is also one that we tend to look out for. And there's the AMRS, which is not here. It's one that we trade quite often. And then and Gale. Gale is one that's trading pretty high right now. We're going to wait till it goes, sub 40, hopefully, anytime soon, so we can hop back on that one. And then, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Let me go ahead and go back to my main screen. Yeah, so thank you guys again so much for watching. I'm pretty sure I'm, 6 minutes within our 30-minute period that we tend to talk about, our kind of analysis. We're going to be doing a couple vlogs since I do leave to Hawaii on Tuesday. So I'm going to be vlogging the whole experience there. We have drones and stuff that we're going to be taking, so it's going to be pretty fun. And I'd love for you guys to have the opportunity to join us. So feel free again to click on the link. It's free. You can join our group. We can teach you how to trade stocks. And it's also just a great environment. So there's been a user that came in, just kind of said a bunch of obnoxious things, and right away, we knew it wasn't a group member just because of what he was saying. So our group, we're really tight knit. At least the active members really like to support one another. I do want to give a huge shout out to Brandon Main. He is a new member with Techbud, and he's been locking in his profits consistently, hitting that 5-10%. And making sure that he can secure his loss with his stop loss, and implementing the best skills when it comes to trading is really the key, I believe, to success. I'm also going to be doing, we're going to be doing the vlogs when we go to Hawaii. We're going to be trading over there for a couple days. I'm going to be going from Tuesday to Friday, but then we have a buddy going there from Monday to Friday. And yeah, I really can't wait for that. So that's going to be a lot of fun. But I'm also going to do a quick video later within, maybe 1 to 2 weeks about my GTR. I tend to do a lot of videos about other people's car, and I've never really done one about my car, and kind of like a deep review or something what I think about my car. But yeah, if you guys didn't know, I am selling it, but that's not really what I want to focus on. I'm just gonna kind of ask for your opinion if you guys think that it would be cool to talk about, my GTR. And if not, then let me know what you guys would like me to focus on a little bit more. And I'd love to just make content that's entertaining to you. But hopefully you guys found this video helpful. If you guys have any questions, just please feel free to reach out to me. Just know that you can contact me through the GroupMe application if you're in the group. If not, then message me through Facebook. And if I see that, you can be an active trader, I'll go ahead and add you. But feel free to join our group on Facebook. We're going to be doing something new within the next couple of weeks. And I think it's going to be really helpful for those that are just getting started, as it's going to be a little bit more motivational. And we're going to be taking a lot of trips. So I think those new traders that can join us, they're not very expensive, and because so many of us are going to be going, that's very cost effective. So it's usually a pretty expensive trip, but because so many of us are going, it's actually pretty cheap. So thank you guys again so much for watching and for kind of putting time aside on your Sunday night. And I hope you guys have a good day, and I can't wait to see you guys tomorrow. So good luck trading. I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.